All right, welcome to my first podcast ever, believe it or not. I'm really excited starting this brand new project. I am on vacation right now with my family, and we thought we'd kick the kids out of the game room and use this game room as a little studio space to record this first project. I'm sitting here today with my sister, one of my best friends, somebody I look up to greatly. She's going to be talking with us today a little bit about mental health, which is a big deal in our world. Really excited. Ashley, say hi.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
We are sitting here with mediocre cups of coffee. We're just going to have a conversation with you. Welcome to Quick Topics with Alex Beaverson. Let's go. Okay, well, like I said, I am here with my sister. She's a licensed clinical social worker. Now, for us people that don't know what any of those terms mean, what in the world is a licensed clinical social worker?
Basically, it means that I have an education in behavioral health, and I am licensed to provide services to the public.
What sort of services?
So, me personally, I am in private practice, and I am a behavioral psychotherapist. So, I provide therapy, basically, to people who need mental health.
So specifically with mental health, you see a range of clients,
yes.
right? I mean, you run a firm, like what do you call it?
A private practice.
A private practice, and you see people on a daily basis who are dealing with some serious mental things.
Absolutely, and behavioral health, because it's such a spectrum. I see people who are struggling at work, all the way to people who are struggling with marriage issues, all the way down the line to some more severe diagnoses like major bipolar, schizophrenia, that sort of thing.
Wow. Well, we are honored. I'm honored. We're going to learn some stuff today, hopefully talking about some stuff that matters to all of us. Yeah. And so I hear, as a pastor, as somebody who's hanging with high school students on a weekly basis, this term mental health epidemic that people say, I don't know who the people are, but that people say is happening in our country right now. Mental health epidemic. Epidemic's a big word. Is there a mental health epidemic going on?
Yeah, I think what's happening is we're becoming more aware of our mental unrest. And we are not taught, generally, about emotional issues. We go to school and we learn about reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right.
But what's missing is the emotional aspect that all of us experience. And because of the digital world that we're living in right now, I think that people are recognizing how unhappy we are. Mm-hmm. And so awareness and the destigmatization of mental health is happening, which is why I think there's words around it like epidemic. And
yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I actually like the term destigmatization or
destigmatization.
Destigmatization.
Me too.
Only because I feel like if we could destigmatize what people think about mental health and how they feel about it and going to therapy and these types of things, I think our world would come a long way in regard to where they feel, emotionally unhealthy.
Yeah.
But you said an interesting thing just now. You said our digital world. Mm-hmm. How in the world is how's our digital world affecting our mental health?
Yeah, so I think our digital age that we're living in right now, we all have access to so much information at any given time. Most of us carry a cell phone around, and we have access to the internet, Facebook, social media. There is nothing that is not within our fingertips as far as knowledge goes. So it's really great on one hand because we have the ability to access so much information and to reach so many people. But what's happening consequently is we are not connecting. We're connecting to our phone. And so the lie is, in this current digital age, we've never been more connected. In truth, interpersonally, we've never been more disconnected. Mm-hmm. We're just super connected to what our phone has to offer us.
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, you're totally right. It seems like, we have more opportunity than ever before, more money than ever before. There's more options than ever before, yet we're more unhappy than ever before.
Interestingly enough, the happiness levels in the United States of America since 1950 have been declining. So we've never been more connected. We've never been more unhappy, because we think that what's going to make us happier is more followers or more likes or more connection via social media. But what happens when that is our focus is we're not connecting to what's happening around us, with the people in our lives, with our kids, with our families, with our friends.
Right. I mean, it seems as though there's a high level of distraction, or I lose focus quickly, and I don't want to focus on what's around me. Instead, I want to look at what's on my phone. Now,
Right.
I think what's interesting, as somebody who is a licensed clinical social worker, you're saying that there's a lot of unhealth coming from social media and our digital world, which is, ladies and gentlemen, a licensed clinical social worker is saying we need to do something different with our social media and our digital world. Now, what can we do? I mean,
So something that really helps me when learning about this is just a quick one too about the brain. We all have what's called an affect tolerance. So affect is how we express emotion. So if you walk in and tell me that you're having a great day, but your head is, if your head is hanging low and you're clearly not happy, I'm going to say your affect doesn't match what you're saying to me. So we all have affect tolerance. It's a window of tolerance, how much emotion we're actually capable of dealing with. What happens to our brains when we are digitally distracting ourselves is our window of tolerance gets less and less and less. And you might find, I know for me personally, when I'm looking on my phone or I'm sort of clickbait through all of these things that I shouldn't be looking at, and something happens over here, it pulls me out of this, I'm short-tempered, I'm frustrated, and my window of tolerance is getting less and less. So we have to learn how to grow our window of tolerance in a healthy way, which basically is just counterbalancing what's happening to the brain when we're totally zoning out.
right. So, we need to widen our
Window of tolerance.
window of tolerance.
Yes.
How do we? I mean,
So
how do we
a
widen
big
our window of tolerance?
buzzword that is going around right now is mindfulness,
Okay.
which is basically just a big fancy word for being in the moment.
So just be present. We need to be more present.
Yes.
So, I mean, what's that? What does that look like for me? Do I need to put my phone down? Can I look at my phone? Do I need to not turn the TV on? How can I be more present from your perspective? What's it look like for me to be present?
Being aware of how you're feeling. If you're looking to distract yourself from a moment, learning to sit in the discomfort of that emotion before you cope in an unhealthy way. So when we are clickbait and we are distracting ourselves via social media, we're not coping, we're just distracting ourselves. Coping is actually sitting in the discomfort of that, taking some deep breaths, learning mindfulness for you. What works for you might not work for me, but just being present, taking a walk. Fasting from social media is a really wise decision. Getting a little space from it, you'll find that 1 or 2 days after not being taken down that road, you want it less. So then you learn to cope in a more healthy way with the emotion that you're experiencing.
Totally. Yeah. And it's something practical that my wife and I have done. We just got done with a 2-week fast for my kids from, the digital world.
Yeah.
And, it seems like from your perspective, from what we're talking about, it's okay to have some digital we're not saying never watch TV again or never open up your phone again.
It's definitely not realistic to say you're never going to utilize social media or be a part of the digital culture that we're in. That's not possible. But learning about what works for you and what doesn't. I know for me sometimes after I do a lot of scrolling, I feel like garbage. I don't feel good, and I have to ask myself, is this serving me? Is this good for my mental health? And if it's not, then I have to know how to step away from it.
Totally. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. Somebody who deals with high school students on a regular basis, I'm surely addicted to my phone. I would say, and the generation below me, Generation Z, is even more addicted, which means based on what we're talking about, they will be even more mentally unhealthy than my generation. It seems as though this downward effect is going to continue to happen unless we do something. We take control of our own mental health.
Yes.
So a big deal for all of us might be to just put our phone down, be mindful of a situation. And would you say that means being away from other people? Can I be mindful in a room full of people? Using this mindful term, as a Christian, it probably would mean prayer, but what does it potentially look like for?
It's learning to live with intention. So if I'm going to go sit down at dinner with my friends, and I'm going to be intentional about connecting, I'm not going to be on my phone scrolling through things.
Right.
Because the lie of multitasking too, we think we can be in 4 places at once,
Right.
because I can be on Instagram, I can be at dinner, I can be on Facebook, and I can also be, connecting with somebody via email over here. We're not present in any one of those scenarios.
Right.
So just learning to be present. You can be present in a room full of a bunch of people, and this is why it's important to know about your process. Introvert, extrovert. I'm a huge proponent of the Enneagram because I think it's really important to understand your own individual process, which is why therapy can be so beneficial.
So beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning about mindfulness, the greatest neuro hack that exists out there as far as being able to change the process of the brain is learning to deep breathe in a way that connects to the parasympathetic nervous system that calms us down. So that is accessible to everybody. If you're a human and you're alive, you're able to breathe. So learning how to breathe to slow the process down a little bit and connect.
Yeah. Dang, the fact that there could potentially be a solution to help our mental health for all of
Yes.
us, because all of us can breathe, all of us have this ability within us. So how do you, when you see, clients and stuff, deal with people who have depression and suicidal thoughts and some of these, high levels of anxiety? Do you counsel them and say, hey, you just need to breathe more?
That's definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
But I connect with them, and I help them learn about their process, which is basic education. Understanding the way that our brain works and how our brain is connected to our body, and how we think and how what we think affects what we do, and how what we do has a consequence. So all of that is a part of the counseling process. But what I encourage people to understand when it comes to mental health is it's just like physical health. Sometimes we're really physically healthy when we're in our prime and we're taking the right supplements and we're going to the gym every day. We're physically healthy. We're eating a good diet. But then we might get the flu, and you might get connected to something where you get a virus. And what happens when you don't feel well is you go to the doctor and you get the tools and you learn about what's going to help you feel better.
Yeah.
And our emotional health, behavioral health, mental health is the same way. So you might be going through life beautifully and then start realizing, oh, I'm not happy, I'm not feeling well, I'm not connecting in my relationships. There is help for that. You don't have to just white knuckle it and tell yourself the lie that something's wrong with you or you're weak because you're all of a sudden experiencing this. That is the purpose that therapy serves. You go into an objective place, you connect with somebody, you learn about your process, and you understand how important it is to talk and communicate.
Yeah. And I would say, as somebody who goes to therapy on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, it has changed my perspective from having somebody to care for my mental health and talk me through these sorts of things.
Right.
It has been huge. And he, when I go into my, to my therapist, he just uses talk therapy. And because of that, I leave the room and I feel sometimes better, sometimes a little worse, but able to cope with, I think, my next week that's ahead of me.
Yeah.
And, as a follower of Jesus, I'm a believer that Jesus is like, he can cure, he's the answer, he's all that you need. But oftentimes he uses these professionals to help us redirect our brains and redirects our minds. So wherever you're at, if you are somebody that is feeling a sense of mental unhealth, mental unrest, don't feel weird to check in and go find a therapist. There's a lot of churches around your areas. There's friends that our church offers volunteer therapists, and these are people in training, and these are people who have a past with be able to just sit and listen to you, be able to redirect your mind and your brain, and hugely wildly has helped me positively. So
yeah, it's a huge step to take. We're afraid of doing it, but when you do, it's such a gift.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. As far as our faith is concerned, Jesus is our healer. But like you said, he provides these avenues where we can gain more information and connect, because
Yeah.
it's a template for connection. It is an uninterrupted time for you to acknowledge how you're feeling, what you need. And you can take that out into the world and practice connection with others.
And that's huge. And, and I'm just speaking from experience at this point. Back in the day, I didn't have a phone that had, an app with the Bible next to it. And the next one was the ability to look up pornography next to the Bible app, an opportunity to check in with all my friends right next to the Bible app. Like, it's all so accessible. So from experience, it is so beneficial to just put your phone down, live in the moment, pick it back up and scroll through it when you need, but don't have a hypersensitive focus on social media and your phone to the point where it's going to begin to change our mental makeup. Correct?
It is. It's beginning to change the way that our brains work. Not to get too scientific, but dopamine is the neurotransmitter that makes us feel good. It's sort of like a Band-Aid on a bigger wound. And we all love dopamine. And so when we are texting or when we get a social media like or whatever, that is a shot of dopamine to the brain, which feels really good in the moment. But then what we know about dopamine in the brain is once you've had that much, you need a little bit more. So we usually, knowing this about social media, it's why we go from, I used to be on it once or twice a week to now I'm on it 1 or 2 hours a day. And I'm not feeling better. We just have to be aware of what's happening inside of the brain.
Yeah.
So it does change the mental makeup. The really good news is our brains are plastic and we can always, it's never too late to start going in a healthier direction.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's huge. It's never too late. If you hear anything today, know that it's never too late. Let's seek help. Let's begin to change the perspective of this mental health epidemic in our world. I'm super passionate about it. I know you are as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there. So again, if you're dealing with suicidal thoughts, anxiety, depression, find a pastor, find a therapist, find somebody to talk to about this sort of stuff. I believe that through conversations like this, we're going to be able to better our world and how people are doing mentally. So Ashley, thank you so very much.
Thank you for talking about it.
We're going to continue to go on our vacation, go back out there with our kids that are wreaking havoc outside. They want to get in the game room right now. Anyway, love you guys, and keep your eyes peeled for what's going to continue to happen. Episode 2 with Quick Topics. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.